afternoon starts right now.
A historic win for now President-elect Donald Trump. He is the second person in U.S. history with 2 non-consecutive terms as commander-in-chief. We'll have more on the win later in the show. Meantime, we still have not heard from his Democratic opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris. Her campaign said last night that the VP would speak sometime today. CNN is reporting that Harris is expected to deliver remarks this afternoon at her alma mater, Howard University. Well, the voting is over, but the work is not done for the staff at the Bexar County Elections Department. Elections Administrator Jackie Callanan says it could take about a week to finalize the votes. And Katrina Weber was there as she spoke about what is likely her last election. She joins us live now. And Katrina, how did Jackie Callanan describe how things went?
Well, in a word, she says that this election was a success. Now, she would not call this a record-breaking turnout, but she says it was impressive. 58.7% of all registered voters in Bexar County cast their ballots. 150,000 of them, she says, did that yesterday. Now, Callanan also congratulated her staff here. She says that they put in countless hours making sure that things went smoothly, making sure that all the votes got counted. And she says that they're not even close to being done just yet.
We have late mail to come in. We have late military to come in. We have to process provisional ballots. We're still trying to collect, see how many were actually written yesterday, how many were voted.
Again, Callanan says all of that could take about another week or so. She says, though, that even with those outstanding ballots, she does not expect that the results are going to change any, that there were no close races this time around. Now, she did mention earlier this year that this would likely be her last election as election administrator. And she says she still plans to retire. She has plans for life outside of elections and that she looks forward to that day. Speaking of days, she says that this election day will always be one that she's proud of. Reporting live downtown, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Katrina, thank you for that live report. And looking outside with live cam, a pretty 74 degrees, but wow, we were in the 50s. It was nice to actually wear my running jacket this morning.
Exactly. Yes, a very, very cool and in some spots chilly start to this Wednesday. Plenty of sunshine now, though, helping temperatures warm into the pleasant upper 70s and low 80s later on this afternoon. Let's backtrack to this morning. Take a look at low temperatures across the area. 40 degrees in Comfort, a few localized spots up into the hill country, especially in Kerrville, managed to dip down into the upper 30s for a few hours right before the sun came up this morning. Generally 40s, though, west of the I-35 corridor, 46 in Hondo. It was 49 in Divine. A low temperature of 50 degrees here in San Antonio officially makes this morning the coolest one that we have seen since early April 4th, which was 216 days ago. So if you like that fall-like chilly weather, you definitely liked this morning, and it's going to be a beautiful afternoon as well. I mentioned plenty of sunshine out there. We are warming up pretty efficiently, 74 degrees right now here in San Antonio, just a degree warmer up in New Braunfels, stretching over to Seguin. Low humidity throughout the remainder of this afternoon, a forecast high temperature around 81. Then we'll start to see those temperatures fall into the low 70s and eventually into the 60s later on tonight. Tonight is when we're going to start to see more moisture quickly return, so the humidity will be noticeable by the time you step out for the morning drive tomorrow. Also a damp start in several locations. I think we'll see some drizzle followed by a chance for some scattered rain and a few embedded thunderstorms into your Thursday afternoon. Friday is when our next cold front arrives. It also brings a chance to catch the tail end of a broken line of rain and thunderstorms into parts of south central Texas. But after that, this weekend looks very pleasant. Cool mornings followed by pleasant afternoons. We're going to time out the latest version of your Futurecast and detail those changes on the way coming up a little bit later on.
Thank you, Mia. Well, with most of the votes tallied, it is safe to say this noon the Republican Party outperformed previous showings this election. President-elect Donald Trump had his best performance in Texas, outpacing his past races, flipping several counties down in the Rio Grande Valley red this time around. And it was the same story in the U.S. Senate with Ted Cruz versus Colin Allred. Cruz did significantly better than back in 2018, winning by 10 percentage points over a Dallas area Democratic Congressman Allred. Now, one victory for Texas Democrats. Indicted incumbent Congressman Henry Cuellar squeaked out a victory over Republican challenger Jay Furman. So this will be Cuellar's 11th term in the South Texas District. Now, former Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin, now he who helmed the city in 2022 during the deadliest school shooting in state history, won his election to the Texas House in District 80, which includes Uvalde. Now, meantime, all 6 San Antonio charter amendments passed, including the relatively controversial Proposition C, which removes caps that voters put in place in 2018 on the city manager's salary and tenure. And East Central ISD had one of the few large school bonds in the area. Prop B asked voters to approve $331 million to build a new high school and elementary school. However, voters rejected that proposition. And we have full coverage of last night's election on KSAT.com. You can see the breakdowns of all the numbers right now on our homepage. Well, Suzanne Clark Simpson, 20-year-old daughter, speaking out against domestic violence on social media amid her mother's disappearance. In several posts on Instagram, she says she wants the public to know that her mother was a victim of domestic violence and that the Alamo Heights community must improve in raising awareness of crimes against women. Now, we have been following this story for nearly a month. Suzanne's husband, Brad Simpson, remains in jail on unrelated charges. You can read a full timeline about her disappearance and the efforts to find her right now on KSAT.com. Meanwhile, there has been another bond hearing delay for James Cotter, charged in a case connected with the search for Suzanne Simpson. Cotter is a business associate of Suzanne's husband. Now, he is accused of removing a gun from the Simpson home and hiding it at the request of Brad. Cotter's attorneys say his bond should be reduced. The defense asked for a continuance because Cotter's mother, who was expected to testify, had a travel delay. The judge granted the reset. A date has not been set. Well, the city of Lacoste has issued a boil water notice for all of its customers. Everyone in the city is being asked to boil their water before washing their hands, brushing their teeth, and for drinking water. The notice is due to a well failure and subsequent citywide outage. So once the notice is no longer in effect, the public water system will send a notice to all of its customers. Well, the future of STEM learning growing rapidly across our state. A national nonprofit and the Texas Education Agency are bringing in 8 new mobile STEM labs to Texas. Our KSAT producer Haley Powers explains the purpose of these labs and when they will be available.
From science experiments to engineering projects, the Texas Mobile STEM Labs are helping teach students across our state the importance of pursuing careers in science, technology, engineering, and math.
The more people that we can engage in STEM careers, the more innovative we're going to be.
The idea of the Mobile STEM Lab was formed by national nonprofit Learning Undefeated. They wanted to expose students in STEM education outside the traditional school setting. In 2020, the Texas Education Agency partnered with Learning Undefeated, and the first Mobile STEM Lab was created.
We work with the classroom teachers to develop a schedule that works for them.
Earlier this year, the TEA gave a $7 million grant to expand the program.
Our teams don't have offices that they go to. They don't have a parking lot that they return to all the time. So our lab is 100% deployed on the road, and the team works from that lab.
The STEM Lab instructors visit schools 1 week at a time and work with teachers to come up with fun and interactive activities for students to do.
97% of our teachers say that the experience met or exceeded their expectations.
By the fall of 2025, all 9 labs will be working with students kindergarten through 8th grade. Haley Powers, KSAT 12 News.
Well, applications for the STEM Labs do not open until next April. Teachers can sign up for notifications on the STEM Labs by heading over to our website at ksat.com. Well, get ready for some college basketball. Details on the Final Four weekend action coming to San Antonio. And before we head to break, we want to remind you that Doc Talk is happening later this week, and it is all about the kids. Here's how it works. You scan this QR code on your screen and type a medical question, any health question that you'd like to ask a doctor concerning your children. The doctor will be in the studio to answer it. Doc Talk airs every Thursday on the news at 6:30. Well, San Antonio will host the 2025 men and women's HBCU All-Star basketball game. It is the 4th annual game for the men and first for the women. That announcement coming today on the steps of City Hall.
Sunday, April 6th, you will see some of the best and brightest of black college basketball in Freeman Coliseum. And we're challenging all of San Antonio to come out for a sold-out arena, standing room only, leading in with our pregame fan fest. You know, our community outreach and legacy, give back is important. Our college admissions fair that we're hosting at the only HBCU here, St. Philip's College. So this is inclusive of everybody, our local businesses to come in and support, to bring them in this space. And more importantly, we get an opportunity to celebrate black excellence at the highest level.
Well, the athletes taking part in the games represent dozens of historic black colleges and universities around the country. And Wurstfest continues this week. You may already know as it's a celebration of the German roots of New Braunfels. But how did Wurstfest get started? Well, tonight, our Myra Arthur is sharing the origin story of Wurstfest and the city itself. And some of that tradition is all about food.
Pretzelbraten, Kartoffelpuffer, it's a potato pancake.
What?
Kartoffelpuffer. Wurstentaschen.
Sounds good. KSAT explains Wurstfest is tonight on the news at 6. Looking out there with live cam, pretty nice weather for Wurstfest right now.
Yes, if you were going out there later this evening, no issues expected. Clear skies for the most part. We'll start to see some cloud cover work back in late tonight and especially through the overnight as the humidity pumps back into south central Texas. No rain out there today, but because of the rain that we did see earlier this week, pockets of 2 to even 6 inches in localized spots across parts of the Edwards Aquifer Recharge Zone, helping the aquifer level up over half of a foot this Wednesday at 629.2. In terms of your pollen count, mold's the only allergen present, but they are low at 480. We do have a few more rain chances in the forecast over the next 48 hours. We're going to get you a look at those details after the break.
I know the cold front was a welcome change for a lot of us here. And I guess the good news is that it's not going to be completely going away.
Exactly. I think now we're starting to get into that typical fall-like weather pattern where we start to see more of these upper-level troughs, what we call them in the meteorological world, bring in these fronts a little bit more frequently, at least here in south central Texas. And along with that, sometimes comes rain chances. We saw some needed rain back on Monday night, and we're not finished with the rain chances moving forward either. Today, no issues out there. Plenty of sunshine for as far as the eye can see expected this afternoon. Very comfortable temperatures, highs in the low 80s, feeling like it because of the drier air in place. But as winds quickly shift in from the southeast overnight tonight, that's going to open the door for more Gulf moisture to quickly work its way back into the region. And as we see a few more changes in the upper levels of our weather pattern work into the state of Texas and eventually drop our next cold front into the area on Friday, that looks to spark up a few more scattered chances for rain and thunderstorms, mainly tomorrow and into Friday before we dry things out into the weekend and even into the start of next week as well. So let's go ahead and time out those changes. Taking a look at dew points right now, which is how we measure that low-level moisture here in the atmosphere. You can see that dew points are in the 40s and 50s across the board, even the 30s across Fredericksburg and Kerrville. That is dry to very dry air, and that's why it is going to feel pleasant and comfortable to step out to this afternoon with all of that sunshine. By 7 p.m., if you are stepping out for any evening plans in and around the San Antonio area, it still will be pleasant as that drier air is still in place. But watch what happens as we advance this on in time. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. We're starting to see this deeper green color, more of that Gulf moisture straying back into south central Texas. And by 7 a.m. tomorrow, that muggy feel will greet you out the door for the morning drive. Along with that, we'll see the cloud cover work back in. And also some areas of patchy drizzle, maybe even a little bit of fog across portions of the hill country first thing tomorrow morning. So this is 7 a.m. This could be enough to make you need the windshield wipers here and there stepping out for the morning drive, and also make for a few slick spots out there on the roadways. By lunchtime, we're going to keep a 40 to 60% potential for some more scattered rain, and notice a few embedded thunderstorms certainly possible by the afternoon drive home as well, potentially along and east of the I-35 corridor near Seguin, Floresville, Pleasanton. A few thunderstorms certainly possible. That's going to continue to work farther up to the northwest by Thursday night. Then into Friday, we have another chance to find the tail end of a broken line of rain and thunderstorms push in from the west, all as we see this next cold front move into the area. So it could be a noisy start to Friday evening plans before all of that starts to shift eastward into Friday night. There is a very low chance that we find an isolated strong to even severe thunderstorm. This is a look at tomorrow's risk. The Storm Prediction Center highlighting areas again along and now west of I-35 and a low end 1 out of 5 potential to see an isolated severe storm. A slightly higher chance across portions of Valverde County where that is a 2 out of 5 potential. Then as we advance this on into Friday for places like Pleasanton, here in San Antonio, Fredericksburg, Kerrville, also a very low end 1 out of 5 risk for a severe storm. So it is the exception rather than the rule here. But if we do see a thunderstorm require some extra attention, we'll need to monitor for a few instances of hail, potentially up to quarter size, some gusty winds, some lightning, and some localized pockets of heavy rainfall. Now on the backside of that front, after it clears the area into Saturday, we're going to see some cooler air work in. So mid to upper 50s for those morning lows this weekend. High temperatures in the comfortable mid to upper 70s on Saturday, and then low 80s expected into Sunday. In the meantime, here temperatures right now in the 70s across the board. Plenty of sunshine expected this afternoon. There's that forecast high temperature around 81, 76 degrees expected by 6 o'clock this evening. Then we'll start to see those thermometers fall into the 60s later on tonight. Again, tomorrow it is going to be a damp start with patchy drizzle, perhaps a little bit of fog, then some scattered rain and a couple of embedded thunderstorms possible into the afternoon. A 40% chance into Friday as we see that next front work in by late afternoon and into the early evening. Then stuff a very nice weekend and start to early next week is ahead. Coming up in the next half hour, still plenty to talk about, including Hurricane Rafael strengthening as it approaches Cuba. We're going to get you the latest forecast track for that coming up closer to 12:45.
All right. Thank you, Mia. Well, we are getting our first look at college football playoff rankings, the details in sports. Also, San Antonio Spurs down a player, the changes to the lineup after the break. Well, the San Antonio Spurs will have to proceed with their rigorous November schedule without power forward Jeremy Sohan. Sohan, who is second in scoring and rebounding for the Spurs, suffered a fracture in his left thumb in last night's loss to the Clippers and will have to undergo surgery this week. There is no official timetable for Sohan's return. The Spurs also without head coach Greg Popovich, who will be away from the Spurs sideline indefinitely. ESPN NBA insider Shams Charania reported details yesterday that Coach Pop is dealing with a serious health issue which required medical attention ahead of Saturday's game. Now, Shams also said in his report that there is a great level of concern around the situation. Well, ahead of yesterday's NFL trade deadline, the Dallas Cowboys acquired wide receiver Jonathan Mingo and a 2025 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers for a 2025 4th-round pick. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott was officially placed in the IR yesterday. Prescott expected to miss at least 4 weeks. CeeDee Lamb remains questionable with a shoulder injury for Sunday's game against the Eagles. Well, the first college football playoff rankings were released. Oregon, Georgia, Miami, and BYU would receive first-round byes if the college football playoff started today. Now, Texas would be the number 6 seed. Texas A&M would be one of the first 4 out. This marks the first year of the new 12-team playoff field. Well, it is National Diabetes Month and raising awareness because there could be a lot of people living with diabetes without even knowing it. What you should know about the disease. World leaders reacting to the U.S. presidential election, what they had to say. Well, mostly warm congratulatory messages coming from world leaders today after Donald Trump is re-elected as president of the United States. ABC's Allison Kosick joins us more with the reaction. Allison.
World leaders congratulating Donald Trump for regaining the White House. They took to X, where President Volodymyr Zelensky called the win impressive, while French President Emmanuel Macron posted, "Ready to work together as we did for 4 years." Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying, "I know President Trump and I will work together to create more opportunity, prosperity, and security for both our nations." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a statement saying, "Your historic return to the White House offers a new beginning for America," adding, "This is a huge victory." Before UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer started a press conference, he congratulated Trump, stressing that strong relations between the US and the UK are crucial.
As the closest of allies, the UK and US will continue to work together to protect our shared values of freedom and democracy.
But leaders are also bracing for what another Trump term could mean, after he's made threats to end military aid to Ukraine and withdraw US support for NATO allies he says don't spend enough on NATO defense. Trump has repeatedly said he'd end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours if he's reelected. The Kremlin's spokesperson saying he's not aware if Russian President Vladimir Putin plans to congratulate Trump, calling the U.S. an unfriendly country. And from the City of Love, its mayor writing on Instagram, "The election of Donald Trump means bad news for the world, democracies, Europe, climate, women, and Ukraine." The Chinese Foreign Ministry only saying it hopes for peaceful coexistence. China is concerned about a trade war after Trump has vowed to place tariffs on Chinese goods as president of the United States. Allison Kosick, ABC News, New York.
Let's look out there with a live cam this afternoon, a nice 74 degrees. We'll take this nice weather before we expect more rain, Mia.
Yes, before we start to see the humidity work back in, we could always use a little bit more rain, right? So not mad about that over the next couple of days. I want to show you an awesome sunrise photo that we got in earlier this morning. Again, it was a cool morning out there. We had a low temperature of 50 degrees here in San Antonio with 40s found in many locations across South Central Texas. The coolest morning since early April that we have seen officially in the Alamo City. Absolutely gorgeous sunrise. Thank you for submitting that into KSAT Connect. Temperatures right now, because of that drier air in place, plenty of sunshine, warming up very efficiently. A pleasant 74 right now in town, closing in on 80 degrees out east in Gonzales, 82 in Victoria, 76 the current temperature in Uvalde. Already have a few low 80s across our southwestern counties. 81 in Carrizo Springs, a degree warmer. Down I-35, 82 right now in Laredo. We will continue to see plenty of sunshine into this afternoon. That forecast high temperature right around 81 here in San Antonio, which is slightly above average for this time of year, but at least that low humidity will make it feel pleasant out there. As we look ahead to the next couple of days, again, the moisture is quickly going to work in as we sleep tonight. So stepping out tomorrow morning, you will likely be greeted by some morning drizzle in a few locations, as well as some patchy fog, before we'll keep that scattered chance for a few more notable showers and storms in the forecast into Thursday afternoon. And then Friday, another potential for some scattered rain and storms, all as we start to see this next cold front work into the area. That clears out, though, by the weekend, leading in a very nice couple of days here in South Central Texas. We'll get you another full look at that forecast coming up in just a few.
Thank you, Mia. Well, it is National Diabetes Month, and the CDC estimates more than 38 million Americans of all ages have diabetes. And experts say millions of people who have it are undiagnosed. Our Japhanie Gray explains what to know about this disease and why early detection is critical.
It's a chronic disease when a person's blood sugar is too high. Diabetes is common, but many don't know they have it.
For a long time, diabetes, hypertension were both known as what are called silent diseases, meaning they are affecting your body and causing long-term damage before you start to have a lot of physical symptoms.
Dr. Brent Smith with the American Academy of Family Physicians says that's why early detection and intervention is critical to slow or even prevent diabetes progression. So he says to be aware of the red flags.
It's increased thirst, and increase urination. So when you're a diabetic and you have this extra sugar floating around in your system, your body tends to get rid of it through your urine.
In addition to increased thirst and urination, Smith says to also watch out for signs like sluggishness, general malaise, or not feeling like yourself. But he says before symptoms start, it's important to see a doctor to be screened and evaluated to prevent diabetes risk.
We would all be a lot happier treating and preventing it than we would be dealing with the consequences of uncontrolled diabetes or other medical conditions.
Smith says managing your weight can reduce risk of type 2 diabetes. Do that by having a healthy diet, cutting out simple sugars as much as possible, and regular exercise.
And the recommendation for exercise is a total of 150 minutes over the course of the week, which breaks down to about 30 minutes of a brisk walk or cardiovascular exercise 5 days a week.
Daphne Gray, KSAT 12 News.
Well, social media could become a safe haven from political ads over the next several days. Meta, Instagram, Google, and YouTube are all forbidding new political ads in an attempt to combat misinformation. Well, why now? The companies say it is to prevent candidates or supporters from spreading misinformation about election results or spreading false information about voter fraud. Many experts say the moves are too little, too late. The Mega Millions jackpot is now $303 million after no winners were announced on Tuesday night. The winning numbers are 2, 24, 25, 52, 58, and 9. If a lucky person has a winning ticket, there is a cash option of $141 million. The next Mega Millions drawing is on Friday night. There's no place like home, and Judy Garland's ruby red slippers are finding a new one. How you could get your hands on an iconic piece of pop culture history. And a picture might be worth 1,000 words, but what are the photos you post online saying about your personal information? How to make sure you are protecting your privacy. Well, people can learn a lot about you, more than you think, just from a picture. And the next time you send a photo or post it online, you might want to double check the settings. That's because it contains data which notes where, when, and how the image was recorded. However, as ABC's Alexis Christoforous reports, there are steps you can take to protect your privacy.
Sharing photos or posting them online has never been easier. But before you snap and send, you might want to think twice. That's because your photos contain something called EXIF data.
You can think of this as little bits of information that are collected when we take a photo. That can include the time and location the photo was taken, potentially down to exact GPS coordinates, your camera settings, and even the make and model of your phone.
Cameras, including the ones on our phones, capture this information, which can be helpful.
Most of us are probably familiar with our phones organizing our photos by trip or by date. And so this can often be helpful for our own organization, but it's less helpful if we're sharing photos out with other people we may not know as well.
And if it falls into the wrong hands, your safety can be compromised.
This data can be pretty specific, so you're able to see exactly where someone lives and maybe when they're typically home. So it's pretty personal data that if you don't know someone very well, could be used in ways that you don't want.
Some social media companies say they collect EXIF data when you upload your photos, but remove it before they're posted online. Other platforms don't remove it. To prevent sharing this information, go online and search how to remove EXIF data and type in your mobile device. Some smartphones have a built-in feature to toggle off photo data before sharing. There are also free apps and websites that will strip out the data for you. And you can search how to remove EXIF data from photos on Windows and Mac computers too. If you don't want this data attached to your photos in the first place, you can revoke your camera's permission to access your location in your phone's privacy settings. Taking screenshots and sharing those are another way to protect your privacy since they don't capture EXIF data. Alexis Christoforous, ABC News, New York.
Interesting things to think about. Looking out there with live cam. Definitely taking pictures outside will be pretty today, though.
Yes, plenty of sunshine, blue skies for as far as the eyes can see. Notice no clouds out there, which also means we do not have a rain chance in the forecast for this Wednesday. But we are very thankful for the rain that we got earlier this week. I want to take a look at how that has affected the Edwards aquifer level. So this is just over the past week. Now on Halloween, the aquifer level was at 626.3. Today at 629.2. So it is up about 3 feet, but we are still below the November average by about 37 feet. So we still have a long way to go. Thankfully, we do have more rain chances in the forecast tomorrow and into Friday. We'll have another full check at those numbers coming up right after this.
Well, a pair of ruby slippers from the Wizard of Oz are going up for auction. They are one of 4 pairs surviving from the 1939 classic. However, these gained notoriety in 2005 when they were stolen from the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Now, the FBI recovered them in 2018 following an investigation. Online bidding has already begun with prices surpassing $1 million. Wow. Now, the hat worn by Margaret Hamilton's Wicked Witch of the West is also up for sale. Iconic pieces there.
And that's very timely because isn't the new Wicked movie coming out soon?
Yes, this month, yeah.
So there you go. That actually works out pretty well. I did not know the story about the slippers being stolen.
Yeah, I didn't get all the details, but I didn't realize it took so long for them to get recovered. Yeah, that's quite a number of years there, 2005 to 2018.
Glad that they found them nonetheless. Yes. All right, Steph, so typically this time of year, you know, we start to talk about cold fronts and hopefully rain chances. And yes, we still have that to talk about as well, but we can't forget that it is also hurricane season. That officially runs through the end of the month, and there is a hurricane to monitor in the Caribbean, approaching Cuba actually as we speak. So this is Hurricane Rafael. As of the noon update in from the National Hurricane Center, it has strengthened to now a Category 3 major hurricane with winds sustained at 115 miles per hour, pressure down to 956 millibars, current track moving northwest at 14 miles per hour. It is expected to make landfall in western Cuba later on this evening before working into the southeastern Gulf of Mexico tonight and into Thursday. Also, some tropical storm warnings now in place for parts of the Florida Keys, even though the center of this system is expected to stay well west of the Sunshine State. Notice, though, as we head into the next couple of days, it is expected to take a jog westward through the central Gulf of Mexico, likely weakening as it does so for the environment in the western Gulf, not as favorable for hurricane sustainment. But you may look at this and say, well, that's coming a little too close to Texas for comfort. But I do want to show you, notice the cone of uncertainty here as we head into early next week. By the time it is expected to move into the western Gulf, is pretty large. And that is because it is expected to encounter the frontal boundary that's going to move into our neck of the winds on Friday. It looks to stall closer to the Texas Gulf coastline and will likely deflect that system as it weakens away from the state of Texas. So as of right now, I still don't see this being a concern for us here in San Antonio and much of the Lone Star State. However, we will continue to keep you posted on that over the next several days as well. In the meantime, this is what we're looking at right now. Again, plenty of sunshine, 74 comfortable degrees. If you're about to step out for any lunchtime plans here in the Alamo City, there's that forecast high temperature of 81 by about 3 to 4 p.m. this afternoon. We'll start to see those temperatures fall into the mid 70s around dinner time, upper 60s by 8 o'clock, and then partly cloudy skies transitioning to mostly cloudy skies take over into the early morning hours of our Thursday as we start to see more of that moisture work back in. But in the meantime, here's a look at high temperatures across south central Texas later on this afternoon. 84 in Pleasanton, mid to upper 70s across portions of the hill country, 82 in Del Rio, 83 the forecast high over in Eagle Pass out there in Maverick County. So we saw, looking outside with live cam, again, plenty of sunshine. Here's what it looks like coming down from space. Notice nothing out there on the satellite, no rain as a result. But let's recap some of the rain that we saw not just Monday Monday night, but even some healthy rain west of I-35 that was found over the past weekend. 4.17 inches of rain in Bernie, 1.66 officially here in San Antonio, 1.23 in New Braunfels. Check out Concam. 4.73 inches. I'm sure the Frio River is loving that. This is all rain that's going to be included in the new drought monitor update that comes in tomorrow morning. And you can see we definitely need it, with even extreme drought now encompassing much of south central Texas, or San Antonio, I should say, drought as a whole across south central Texas. So we'll call it a 60% chance for some additional rain heading into Thursday, 40% chance into Friday after we see that next front work in. That low pressure system that's going to be responsible for that front currently off to our northwest near the Four Corners region. Even some snow across portions of Colorado, stretching down into New Mexico. No snow for us, but we could catch the tail end of that broken line of rain and thunderstorms, especially by late Friday afternoon and into early Friday evening as that frontal boundary starts to work in from west to east on Friday. Clearing out this weekend, cooler mornings again, mid to upper 50s, high temperatures very pleasant, mid to upper 70s on Saturday, and then 80s into next week, including Veterans Day, which is on Monday. We're going to take a step aside. We'll be right back after this.
Well, the countdown to Thanksgiving is on, and Christmas will be here before we know it. So our friends at SA Live are giving us a head start on holiday gifts. Jen Tobias-Strusky takes us to Paint Your Own Pottery Shop for a one-of-a-kind do-it-yourself gift ideas.
The holiday season is here. Yes, it's time to start thinking about maybe some gift ideas, decor, and Thanksgiving as well. You can personalize it here at Color Me Mine. I have Lane joining me, one of the owners here. Let's talk about the different projects. You have quite the selection.
Absolutely. So my wife Kelly's really good at, putting a great selection together. We know the holidays are coming up, so priming up for that. So we do the best we can to give you some ideas and pieces.
Now when you walk in, you'll see this wall here. You can pick from this, you can personalize, and the best part is, I know Kelly mentioned anything with the holes, that means you can add lights, right?
Absolutely, correct.
And this one's so nostalgic.
Oh, very much so. We talk to people all the time. It's like, man, my grandmother had that. They've still got it. It's still in the family. So that's a very nostalgic piece.
And it can stay in the family, like you said, forever. Now, what I really love is the ornaments, because that, to me, you can personalize. You can give them as little gifts, stocking stuffers. So I think we're going to sit down and maybe work on a few things.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, I'm going with the Texas ornament. You've got one of my favorite things in the world, a little coffee there. Let's talk about how therapeutic this is for the people that come in here.
So absolutely, and we talk about that all the time, right? Is you come in and you have to be engaged with a piece. It's physically impossible to hold a piece of ceramic, hold a paintbrush, and hold your cell phone. So you can have your cell phone sitting there, you're listening to podcasts, whatever, but generally you're painting, engaged with the people around you, and you become consumed by what you're doing.
What are some of the memorable projects that you've seen here that people have made for others?
The most memorable one talking about is a lady had a coffee mug and she had a 4-year-old son, and she picked up some pieces and then came back and picked up 4 more coffee mugs. I was like, oh my God, what is she doing? And then I came talk to her, and what she did is she took handprints of her 4-year-old son, put it on the other side of the coffee mug's handle, and so when the grandparents get to drink their coffee, they're holding the hand of their grandkid. So worked out real well.
That is adorable.
It's awesome.
So you guys can come up with ideas and help people. Maybe they walk in and they're like, I want to personalize something for my father or grandparent, and you guys can help out with
Absolutely,
that as well.
without question, we'll help you out.
Okay, so for the holidays, tell me about the selection. How often do you get different items that come in here?
So our item selection changes generally weekly, for sure monthly. We have staples, mugs, cups, bowls, plates, that kind of stuff we always have, but we're always changing selection. So Christmas trees may change, the style of them, ornaments may change. So you come in once, you paint a piece, you come 2 or 3 weeks later, you're going to have a different selection. So it's changing quite often.
And when you pay for your studio time, if you want to take a break and come back, you can do that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to pay another studio fee.
That's good to know. All right, so you guys are located where, so our viewers can come find you?
We're at the Strand at Huebner Oaks, 11255 Huebner Road, Suite 108, in the same parking lot as the Flying Saucer.
And what I really love, we'll end with this, is that you guys walk everybody through the process.
Absolutely.
And so when you walk in, don't feel overwhelmed, because I see how you guys are. You're very helpful, great customer service, and even the different fun techniques like this, the ombre, sponge painting, right?
Absolutely.
All of that.
Yeah, so you walk in, we walk you through the process, we walk you through the paint process. We are a self-serve studio, so you don't have to raise your hand, wait on us to get your paint. You can get it so we don't, restrict the flow of creativity.
I love it. All right, therapeutic, fun, personalized, and well, you can just relax, right?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
take it in. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Lane. For more information, you know what to do. Head to our website, salive.com, click the As Seen on SA Live tab, or scan the QR code on your screen. Wait, can you turn the hat around so I can show everybody
for sure.
how cool this is? You can't miss him if you see him out in public.
Can't miss me.
Thanks, Lane.
You're very welcome.
The gift card.
All right, let's get you a final look at those current conditions outside. Now up to 76 degrees here in San Antonio, 77 on the south side over at Stinson, 78 in Poteet, low 80s now out east in Gonzales. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon, a high temperature right around 81 degrees officially in the Alamo City. Conditions changing tomorrow, patchy drizzle in the morning, perhaps a little bit of fog with more humidity, few rain chances, and then that front working in ahead of the weekend.
Gotcha. Well, we went from jackets to rain jackets now.
Exactly.
We'll keep everything ready. Thank you, Mia. Thanks for joining us.